Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday as we go ahead and take a look at the first day of the hurricane season, which we have two tropical disturbances near the Gulf of Mexico. We do have one that has the potential to become Tropical Storm Alex or even Hurricane Alex, and we also have another that does have a small potential to becoming a tropical cyclone. So we're going to be discussing potential Tropical Storm Alex today. Not really much on this other one, as it only has a 10% chance. But the potential Tropical Storm Alex has a 80% chance of a cyclone formation in 5 days. So definitely we're going to have to keep a close eye on this, and possibly some impacts could be in store for Florida and the East Coast. This is in fact now Invest 91L. As you can see, right now it is not looking too good formation wise. We only have a little bit of convection on the eastern portion of this low pressure, and we also have a little bit of convection on the western side of this low pressure. So it's not really looking that good. It's still over some terrain right now. Once it does go into Gulf of Mexico, is going to have a bigger chance here to definitely try to get its act together and develop into possibly a tropical storm or two. Now the spaghetti models, as you can see, this is the model track guidance. We do have most of these going into the Florida Peninsula, most of southern Florida, just to the north of Key West. As you can see, we do have a couple going just south of Key West, but I don't think that's really going to happen. I think this is going to go straight into around southern Florida. But of course, things can change. As you can see, some of these models kind of spinning around a little bit. That may change the path and direction of it. So we're going to have to watch this closely here. We do have some definitely confidence is going to go into Florida. But of course, with all tropical storms, these often change. And at first, we don't often get the exact area, that's going to be impacted in 3 days from now. GFS ensembles as well have it going into Florida. We do have some going on. This is actually quite a useful model, since this shows all the possible tracks. This even has some tracks spinning around here, kind of stalling out and deciding a path. So a lot of these do have it going to Florida. But the GEFS ensembles really have a good depiction on all the possible tracks this thing can take. But of course, the main green track is that black line, which has it going right into the Florida Peninsula. So we're going to have to watch this very closely, and as we get more information over time, you're going to have a more accurate path. But as of right now, I would take this as a grain of salt for the path. But Florida, I would, especially if you live in southern Florida, you need to keep a very close eye on this. It's not going to be anything major or anything like that, but definitely I could bring some minor impacts. Now, intensity guidance on this thing, we do have most of these staying just below a tropical storm. We do have a couple going into a tropical storm, even almost making it into a Category 1 strength. But as you can see, model intensity guidance is really not making this as even a tropical storm. So these are gonna change over time. We may see a tropical storm pixelated by these, but I think this is gonna be a tropical depression or tropical storm at most. And the GEPS and ensembles really have it going everywhere. We have a few going in near Florida. We have a few going into the Gulf and spinning out there. And that's 144 hours from now. So it's going to take a lot of time to spin out over here, decide its path to go on. We don't really have an idea. The GEPS doesn't really have an idea of where this is going to go. As you can see, this is the SSTs, the sea surface temperatures. As you can see, it is quite warm in the Gulf of Mexico. Not super warm near the coasts, but is definitely warm enough to get a tropical depression, tropical storm going here. We did have a lot more warmer waters. That's why we saw nearly a major hurricane in southern Mexico. But as you head to the Gulf, you do get a little bit cooler waters. It is still early June, so we are going to see these kind of waters probably until early July, until we get some very warm waters. That's when a hurricane season for the Atlantic will get really active. And as you can see, we are not really going to see many tropical waves spin up in the main development region because it's probably until mid-July. because we don't have much warm waters here. We only have 24 Celsius, very cool waters over here. So we're mainly going to see these types of storms, maybe some spin up in the Caribbean throughout June and July. But then we get to August and September. That's when things really get going and get active. Now, this is the GFS model here we're looking at. This is 1 p.m. of June 1st, so about when I'm making this video here. I'm probably going to post this about 3 p.m. Central Time. So this is GFS model. We're going to go to 7 p.m. June 1st right now, and it looks to be strengthening a little bit tomorrow morning. And then we do have this strengthening a bit tomorrow afternoon, as it probably maybe a tropical depression tomorrow afternoon here. As that approaches Florida, we may see a still tropical depression by then, but possibly a tropical storm. This could be a tropical storm that could impact Florida. It's not going to be any strong tropical storm or anything like that, but I think we could see possibly a weak tropical storm impact to Florida here. That definitely has that possibility with the warm waters. It has favored in this general area, and this is not going to go up here where there's cooler water. It's going to have a harder time up here, so that's why it's taking this path here to Florida, following that jet stream, and then it goes into the Atlantic, where it may exist more as a tropical depression or post-tropical cyclone, but really not many impacts so far for the GFS model. For the East Coast here. European model has a lot more weaker here, a lot more broader of a storm, and likely not even tropical depression here. However, when it gets past Florida, it does strengthen there into likely a tropical depression, tropical storm. So I do agree on the GFS model. GFS model has a lot more of a realistic scenario here. The European model is just, I think it's quite unrealistic, really, because we do have a lot more warmer waters in the Gulf rather than the Atlantic here. It just doesn't really make sense according to the European model. So this could happen, but again, I do agree with the GFS model on this, kind of slowly strengthening here, maybe making it tropical depression, tropical storm strength by the time it makes landfall in Florida. The CMC models predictions on this have it making landfall as about a low-end tropical depression at most. CMC model doesn't really overhype things as much and really just says its opinion out loud on these types of storms here. So as you can see, CMC model really doesn't do much with this, but again, GFS model has quite the confidence that this is going to make it to tropical depression or even a weak tropical storm. So we can even look here at the icon model, and this is a lot more high resolution than the GFS model and also than the European model. And look at this, it does have it making landfall as I would think a tropical depression, or maybe even really not much, but a lot of heavy rainfall could be in store here for Florida, but really not many impacts. Like, it's not going to be a major hurricane. It's mainly going to be a lot of rainfall and maybe some gusty conditions, but really not that much for southern Florida here. And I definitely would not hype this up here for Florida. Just getting some information out that we could see some possible flooding there in southern Florida, especially since Florida definitely floods pretty easily. Some cities definitely flood pretty easily there in Florida. So just getting in that info on that we could see some definitely rainy conditions there that could cause some flash flooding, but it's not going to be anything major. Once again, here's a GFS model zoomed in on this storm. As you can see, this is going to be about 7 a.m. of June 3rd, and we get to around 1 p.m. of June 3rd when this is approaching Florida. This definitely makes it as a weak tropical storm here. We got 996 millibars, and definitely looks a little bit stronger as it makes landfall. They're right near Fort Myers. Fort Myers is right over here. That's where it's going to be making landfall, just south of there, into more of the Naples area. So definitely a tropical storm at most. This is not going to be a hurricane, not a major hurricane. A tropical storm at most with this storm. We are going to be watching this over the next few days here and give you the latest updates. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you want the latest updates here. This is again not going to be anything major. I can't stress that enough. But we will keep a close eye on it and live stream if needed. But I probably won't need a live stream since this is going to be such a weak storm according to the models. Share this video with any friends or family that may like these daily weather forecasts. Otherwise, I'll have more updates later on, and stay safe.